As the monks present the cup to their new abbot according to ancient custom, they wait for him to bless it and drink. The cup has been poisoned, and as they watch eagerly for him to partake of it and die, Saint Benedict does something completely unexpected. Vicovaro, Italy, 529 AD. Benedict of Nursia has been asked to lead a monastery of monks in the hills between Tivoli and Subiaco. In his earlier years, he was known for a life of radical solitude. Disgusted by the moral decay he witnessed as a student in Rome, he fled the city entirely and retreated to a cave near Subiaco, where he lived as a hermit for 3 years, sustained by a single monk named Romanus, who lowered bread down to him on a rope. He sought no followers, he wanted no fame, he wanted only God. But God had other plans. Word of His Holiness spread throughout the surrounding hills. Shepherds came, locals came, men seeking wisdom made the journey to his cave. His reputation grew so great that when the abbot of a nearby monastery died, the monks came to Benedict and begged him to become their new leader. Benedict refused. He told them plainly, their ways and his ways would not agree. He had seen how they lived. He knew how he lived. He told them this would not end well. They begged him anyway. They pleaded. They returned again and again, and finally, worn down by their persistence, Benedict relented. He should have trusted his instincts. Benedict, who would go on to be called the Father of Western Monasticism, was not a man who believed in half measures. When he became their abbot, he did what abbots are meant to do. He restored discipline. He required fasting. He demanded prayer. He called them to the life they had vowed to live. The monks hated it. These were men who had grown comfortable in their laxity. They had sought out Benedict not out of genuine desire for reform, but because his growing fame might bring prestige and offerings to their community. They had asked for a figurehead. They got a father. And a father, it turned out, was the last thing they wanted. Fury quickly took root, and fury, left to grow in darkness, eventually becomes something worse. They plotted to kill him. They poisoned his wine and presented the cup to him according to the ancient monastic custom, so that the abbot would bless it before drinking, a ritual repeated in monasteries across the Christian world every single day, a gesture of reverence, of gratitude, of communion. They had dressed their murder in the clothing of devotion. If you want more stories from the lives of the saints, consider subscribing. Benedict stretched out his hand over the cup and made the sign of the cross. The cup shattered. Not cracked, not spilled, shattered. As though, St. Gregory the Great writes, the sign of the cross had struck it like a stone. The drink of death, he says, could not endure the sign of life. The monks stood in silence. Benedict had survived a murder attempt, carried out by the very men he had left his solitude to serve. Men who had begged him to come, men who had dressed their murder in a revered gesture of monastic life and waited for him to die. He had a miracle on his side. He had God on his side. He had every justification, moral, spiritual, practical, to condemn them, to expose them, to make an example of what happens when monks try to poison their abbot. The shattered cup was still on the floor. The evidence was right there. Every man in that room was waiting to see what he would do. But then he rose, with a mild countenance and a quiet mind. Gregory tells us specifically, not relieved, not shaking, not burning with righteous anger, mild, quiet, as if what had just occurred was not an attempt on his life, but merely a confirmation of something he had already known. He gathered the monks together and looked at them, these men with a shattered cup at their feet and nowhere left to hide, and he was gentle with them. May Almighty God have mercy on you and forgive you. Why have you treated me this way? Did I not tell you beforehand that our ways of life would not agree? Go and find another father suited to your character, because I will not remain with you now. No anger, no condemnation beyond the simple truth they already knew. Then he turned and walked back into the wilderness. Because Benedict did not see these men as enemies. He saw them as men whose souls were in far greater danger than his body had ever been. The poison in that cup could only kill him. The poison in their hearts could destroy them forever. And it was for that, not for himself, that his heart was moved. He returned to Subiaco, to the solitude he had always loved. But others came looking for what he had found. Men who wanted to learn to live the way he lived, who needed someone to show them how. And so the solitude expanded. It took on walls and bells and a common table. Benedict didn't leave the silence to build monasteries. He built monasteries so that others could enter the silence with him. 12 communities. A rule of life so ordered and so luminous that 15 centuries later it is still being lived by men and women in every corner of the world. Not written from a position of power, written by a man who had walked away from an attempt on his life with nothing but forgiveness on his lips. He is often depicted holding a broken cup, a reminder that the most dangerous thing his enemies ever handed him, he received without bitterness, and that the life they tried to end became the one that changed everything. We know him today as Saint Benedict of Nursia, patron saint against poison, father of monks, patron saint of Europe, and the man whose simple rule written in a cave, forged through betrayal, became the backbone of Western civilization itself.